Yep.
Hello everybody, tonight I'm going to be speaking about modern technology, specifically refuting the claim that the use of modern technology used for leisure is having a significant negative impact on younger generations. And my opponent supported this claim through 3 points. 1, children are becoming more disconnected from the world. 2, the overuse of technology is causing a decrease in exercise. And 3, technology is causing adverse health effects. And I will be explaining why leisurely technology is allowing for an enriched youth experience. To address my opponent's first point, that children are becoming more disconnected from the world, is actually incorrect. My opponent tells us that kids are having rhetorical deficits due to a lack of face-to-face communication. However, with over 1 billion people on Facebook, according to the reporting division, and over 1 billion online gamers, children are actually open to a massive diversity of people that only they will be able to meet and connect with. The definition of rhetoric is the effectiveness to communicate and learn about cultures, the effectiveness of persuasive speech or writing targeted towards a specific audience. These children now have the ability to communicate and learn about cultures that no other generation could have before. Thusly, the lack of face-to-face communication causing this rhetoric deficit actually pales in comparison when you look at how many different cultures they're able to experience and communicate with, and thusly be more apt to persuasively communicate with. And personally, I can account that I would never have developed an interest in Australian culture and music had it not been for my experiences with meeting people online using leisurely technology. To address my opponent's second point, that the overuse of technology is causing a decrease in exercise, is actually not a supporting factor in this argument. It supports his third point, but not his overall claim, because a lack of exercise may not be unhealthy. However, to the point where it causes an adverse health effect, does support the point. So it's actually supporting point for his third point, which I will now address. Specifically targeting my opponent's mention of the obesity epidemic. Children are actually more active than ever, according to a public agenda survey taken in 2015. 79% of middle and high school students participate in some form of extracurricular activity. Notably, 56% of that 79% chooses sports, while another 39% chooses active art, such as dance or marching band. These are the highest numbers reported in the last decade, and thusly the 33% of overweight children in America cannot be attributed solely to the advent of new leisurely technology. With physical education standards at an all-time high and participation in sports and other extracurricular activities, exercise or the lack thereof may not be the most pressing issue in this epidemic. So in conclusion, due to the cross-cultural communication of social media and gaming and the fact that exercise is not to blame for the obesity crisis, leisurely technology is allowing for an enriched youth experience. Thank you.
All right, the proposition's clearly identified. You laid out the secondary claims pretty clearly. You've got a counterclaim basically on enrichment. I think that needs to be developed a little bit more. On your first point, the definition is fine, but you've got some information about the number of people playing games and doing Facebook. But the only evidence that you have to support that this diversity of contact has had any benefit is your own personal experience, which is not a bad way to start, but I think you need some supporting evidence to back it up and to be able to make a generalization from it. From a theoretical point of view, the idea that they've had greater contact or possibility of contact than any previous generation, I think that's a given. That it's had any effect or is benefiting anybody, I think, is largely conjecture at this point. You then try and reorganize the second point down to be a supporting point for the third point, which is fine if it applies there and it supports that issue, and that's where you're going to respond to it. That makes perfect sense. I thought that your strongest argument was the information that showed that there is a lot of extracurricular activity, a substantial part of which is sports-based or active-based. So it's not just, they're in the chess club or something like that, which seems to demonstrate that there is physical activity going on there. I didn't see much analysis of any of the advocates' evidence at all, and I thought that there was only a tertiary explanation of the advocates' reasoning, usually when being contrasted with your own reasoning. I thought you did a good job speaking to the audience and kind of explaining concepts. All right, thank you.